Bend the knee.
Vale Mogolis, everybody. It's Don Willie back again with another edition of Ice and Fire Opinions. Brand new layout. And, as you can see here to talk about my boy, one of my favorite characters in the series, book or show, or at least, up until maybe season 5. And hold on. I want to make sure you guys can hear me. We are talking about Lord Petyr Baelish, aka Littlefinger, and also, as you can see behind me here, brought back the banner. Because if you're going to talk about the man, how can you not have the banner as well? Shout out to everyone in the chat room currently right now, and those who will probably be joining me in the next few minutes. We got Marilyn Bentley, Ion Trone, and my man Tony, aka Lord of the Last Hearth. Let's get right into it, So, Petyr Baelish, he is the grand manipulator of this story. He is the architect behind most of the current political intrigue in A Song of Ice and Fire, dealing specifically with the events in Westeros. Now, his counter is kind of, counter, I guess, would be Varys. Oh, and shout out to my man Ricky Hunt, who also just dropped in. But yeah, his counter would be Varys. I would think most people would imagine. And Varys, while he definitely has dealings in Westeros, also a lot of his dealings also are from Essos as well. So, pretty good chess game the two of these guys have been playing. And, Aidan Gillian, as you can see on the screen, he's the guy who portrayed him on the TV show until this most recent season. Spoilers for those who have not seen all the way up to season 7. He's dead, and I'm going to touch on what I feel about how his storyline was handled in the show most recently. But as I said, grand manipulator. He is someone who, someone who started from very, very humble beginnings, has kind of no rights to anything, and yet before it's all done, I believe he is going to sit the Iron Throne at some point. While many people might disagree with that, I'm like, look, if you think about it, at least as far as the books are concerned, he currently is the Lord of Harrenhal, which, if I'm not mistaken, they may have also made him Lord Paramount of the Trident as well when they gave him that title, which kind of effectively makes him the Lord of the Riverlands. He is currently Lord Protector of the Vale because Robert Arryn in the books is still too young to come into his full rights for the title. So Petyr Baelish is his regent. He is looking to find a way to take over the north as well by using Sansa Stark, and kind of the plan is marry her to Harold Harding and then kind of use that as a way to rally the Northerners behind her as well when he actually reveals who she is. Oh, and also shout out to Sweet YFT and also Bernie the Burnt, Thank you for joining me. Um, so that's three of the seven kingdoms, and three of the largest of the seven kingdoms as well. That he could have under his possession without ever having to field any people on the battlefield whatsoever. And it's one of those things where shout out to Big E. You know, it's one of those things where this would be a masterstroke, an absolute masterstroke. No matter how you look at it, there's no other way you could possibly, no other way you could possibly call it. He is probably the greatest manipulator of events that we have seen thus far. Not even Varys can really compare to him. And it's funny because, I remember watching a video series from the Order of the Green Hand. They were talking about Tywin being the Machiavelli of Westeros, and I would have to disagree with that assessment. I think that Petyr Baelish is the Machiavelli of Westeros because I've read The Prince by Machiavelli, and it really talks about how to kind of manipulate people. Now mind you, it does talk about warfare. It talks about what you need to do in order to maintain the respect of your vassals, to maintain the respect of the peasantry. But it definitely talks about you doing things kind of behind the scenes as well, and not just being the face of everything. Pardon me there. And give me 1 second, because apparently this stupid thing. Where's the gate at? Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to get some of the noise out. Apparently this thing was super noisy for a minute there. Shout out also to Kingston. One moment. Just trying to work out some things. Alright. Good. Hopefully no more sound interruptions. Alright, so let's get into, some of the stuff that he does in the books. So, when we're first introduced on screen to Petyr Baelish, he has intercepted Catelyn Stark and had her escorted to one of his brothels. And no, that is incorrect. We're first introduced to Petyr Baelish when Ned is attending a small council meeting, and they talk briefly about the fact that Petyr Baelish fought a duel against Brandon Stark for the hand of who was then Catelyn Tully. And later on, after the attack of Bran, on Bran at Winterfell, when Catelyn is on her way to King's Landing, she is interceded by Petyr Baelish's spies or gold cloaks or whatever may have you, brought to a brothel brought to his brothel so that she would be hidden away from prying eyes in King's Landing. So the way that things kind of go down in the books, it's really hard to discern what Petyr Baelish's motives are, because he definitely has a way of charming people and a way of kind of bringing them in without them suspecting, that he has sinister motivations. It's not until later on, especially for one, when he's talking to Ned and he's trying to convince Ned that, hey, we should, snatch up Joffrey, make peace with the Lannisters, and look, we'll figure out how we're gonna spin this whole thing to get things on our side. But with Robert dying, we're gonna need to move swiftly, because if anything happens, it's not gonna look good on either of us. Because Ned, for whatever reason, not really discerning well how things are going with this situation in the capital. He doesn't want to listen to anybody. He's just like, no, the law of succession says Stannis is the rightful king now, so we need to get Stannis on the throne. Petyr Baelish is thinking about, not only the political implications behind that, but also he's thinking about his financial future as well, because he owns, a bunch of brothels. He is the master of coin, so he's responsible for money, and because of the massive debt that he has kind of leveled upon the realm, the last person he wants looking into the books is Stannis. Because, as we see later, when Tyrion starts looking into the books, he's like, what the hell? How the hell are we in debt for all this money? And it's all his fault and blah, blah, blah. I mean, and he's kind of freaking out about this because he's like, the Iron Bank is going to come kill us. And, while Petyr Baelish is the master of coin, no one else is really able to dig into the books. I mean, because, for one, most of them don't care. Like, the realm seems to still be flourishing. And so it's one of those things where it's like, all right, well, cool, Petyr Baelish is doing this thing. He's handling all of the money. So, it's one of those things where, it's just kind of funny to see, like, you get in real life, people, make all kinds of Ponzi schemes and all that, and nobody realizes how much money is not actually being generated, how much money is being stolen until it's too late and it all collapses. So, that's kind of what Littlefinger is doing right now with his kind of Ponzi scheming. So it's funny, Pyronucleus. I'm gonna get to why Petyr Baelish will not will not do like how he did in the show in a few minutes. But let's go real quick to how or why he kind of had to betray Ned. Because let's be honest here, Ned, like I said, he was screwing things up for Baelish. Ned gave him two easy outs. He said, A, we can snatch up Joffrey and, snatch up Joffrey and, install Renly right now, or you make peace with the Lannisters, and declare Joffrey as the legal heir. You'll be handed a king, you'll be the regent, and you'll control things for the next few years, because Joffrey, I believe, is only like 13. So, legally, they're not grown. Like, the people of Westeros are not grown until they're like 16. So, Joffrey, right now, is still too young in the eyes of most people to rule rightfully, and to be able to make decisions on his own. And Ned is like, nah, the Lannisters tried to kill my son. They tried to do this, that, and the third. So no deal. So it's like, all right, well, look, I tried to, I tried to give you the best advice possible. You don't want to hear it. So, I got to do what I got to do. And Ned, Mr. Honorable Ned, actually was like, hey, can you do me a favor and bribe the gold cloaks? Because I'm too honorable. I don't want to get my hands dirty with that. Can you bribe them for me? And boy, oh boy, that was a mistake on his part. So, once everything goes down, Petyr Baelish, wants to betray Ned, and Ned gets executed. And it is speculated that the reason why Joffrey had Ned executed was that Joffrey may have actually told, that Petyr Baelish may have actually told Joffrey to do that. Now, whether or not that will come out later on, we'll have to see about that. It's not 100% certain as of right now, but it sounds plausible, because Petyr Baelish is the guy who thrives off of chaos. In the show we get the famous "Chaos is a Ladder" monologue, and also we get the quote from Varys that Petyr Baelish would burn down the realm if he could be king of the Ashes. Which, it may be true. It might actually be true. And shout out to Ian Renfro. What's going on? I haven't seen you in a very long time. So, the way that things are played in the books is very subtle, and it's a kind of unfolding one by one the things that we get from him, because he's not a POV character. He pops up every now and then in other POV characters' chapters. Excuse me. So we get him in Sansa, we get him in Cat, we get him in Ned, we get him in Tyrion. And the funny thing is, I'm wondering, like, it seems like he had it out for Tyrion specifically. Out of all the Lannisters, it seemed like he had it out for Tyrion, because he frames Tyrion for the dagger. He may have tried to get Tyrion killed at the Battle of Blackwater by Sir Mandon Moore, because Mandon Moore is from the Vale, and he's somebody who was brought by Jon Arryn to King's Landing and wanted to be in the Kingsguard. And it's kind of it's been one of those things where it's like, well, why is Mandon Moore part of the Kingsguard? He's not necessarily said to be that great of a knight, so yeah, why is he part of the Kingsguard? And shout out to Way Off Topic Radio, great friends of the channel. So, Mandon Moore tries to kill him and is ultimately cut down. So, again, speculation as to whether that was Petyr Baelish to try that. And he also frames Tyrion for the murder of Joffrey. So, for whatever reason, and it might be because Tyrion is smart, and everyone knows how smart Tyrion is, and it might just be one of those things where it's like, all right, well, this guy is going to wind up causing me problems because Tyrion is not necessarily doing the scheming, since he's doing a lot of kind of deduction on his own. It's like, all right, I can't let him mess things up by him figuring stuff out. So let me just get him out of the way. So, understandable why he wants to get rid of Tyrion, if that is the case. If it's just all about, look, I can't have somebody finding out my plans because they're going to wind up messing things up for me, then all right, cool, I get it. I get it 100%. So, he does that. He whisked away Sansa, and, that's kind of where the creepy stuff really starts to happen. Because in the show, they made all the creepy stuff with him kind of happen a little early with Sansa, like where they're talking at the hands tourney, and he tells her about the whole thing with the mountain and the hound. And like in the books, it's the Hound who actually tells that story to Sansa, not Petyr Baelish. And one of the crazy things about that is, like, the way he leans over and is like, "Did anybody ever tell you the story about the Mountain and the Hound? Well, if you ever talk about that, I don't think that any knights in all of the Seven Kingdoms will be able to save you from its wrath." Yo, okay, easy, bro, easy. Part of me, like, see me drinking a lot of water. Yeah, I was getting over a cold. And I'm gonna talk a little later when I go to questions. I'm sure people might have questions about an event I did earlier this week on Rorish's channel. But let me finish off, some more about Petyr Baelish. To me, he is one of my favorite characters because of the fact that he is so fascinating. Because here is a guy who is portrayed so differently from show to book that he almost isn't the same character. Now in the books, everyone likes him. No one has any suspicion about any motivations of his. He's a guy who people, when they need help with stuff, they're like, oh, let's go to Littlefinger. Need help getting money? Go to Littlefinger. Need help getting men for, whatever, household guards or whatever? Go to Littlefinger. Need, wedding supplies? Go to Littlefinger. It's like whatever people need. It's like, get it from Littlefinger. Need food? Go to Littlefinger. And so, because he is so helpful, people, don't realize how much he's really getting out of all of this stuff that he's doing. It just kind of seems like, oh no, pay Littlefinger a little bit of money and everything is all good. So they're not really realizing how deep his corruption goes. And so one of these things that is kind of crazy about him is that once everything starts to unfold as to how deep his scheming goes and how many kind of back channel dealings he's doing, it's like, oh, this guy is a lot more powerful than people actually realize. And also the fact that he's not, like, he's Westerosi, born, but his heritage is also from Bravos, which, he might know a little bit about the Faceless Men. I'm pretty sure, his stuff with the Iron Bank, there's a lot going on there that we haven't seen. And oh, shout out to DJ. So there's so much that we still have not yet learned about him. But let's talk about his scheming in the Vale real quick. So he got in good with Liza, and she's been in love with him or infatuated with him ever since they were teenagers. And the thing about it is he's never really liked her, but it's like, all right, well, look, she is ready, willing, and able to give me some anytime I want. She's ready, willing, and able to do whatever it is that I want, whenever I want. So, shout out to Sir LT Giles. I shouldn't be puffing on this thing right now, but whatever. But the fact that she's gonna do whatever he wants whenever, and she is the Lady of the Vale, or was the Lady of the Vale. It makes things interesting because she is the one that everybody runs to from the Vale asking for favors, when really they should be going to Petyr Baelish, because he is the one that basically is pulling her strings. She is the puppet, he is the puppeteer. And so, let's look at the list of things. So, he was supposed to have a child with her back when he was still a Riverrun, when she got pregnant after the duel with Brandon Stark. Because, Peter was, for whatever reason, convinced that Kat was in love with him, because unfortunately Kat was kind of teasing him, playing, games, as you do when you're young. You kiss on whoever, and for you it's just a game, doesn't mean anything, but for the other person it might mean a lot. And to Petyr Baelish, it meant a lot. He was in love with Catelyn because of that, and because of that fact, and Lysa being infatuated with him, things start to get a little complicated. Now, Petyr Baelish had challenged Brandon Stark to a duel for the hand of Catelyn and almost died. And while he was recovering, Lysa slept with him, and he thought it was Cat. Excuse me. Man, that's bad. So Lysa slept with him. He thought it was Cat. She got pregnant, and after this, when Hospitelli finds out, he kicks Petyr Baelish out of Riverrun, while he's right after he's kind of halfway recovered. He kicks Petyr Baelish out of Riverrun, sends him back to the Vale, and makes Lysa drink tansy tea in order to have an abortion. And that kind of messed her up on the inside. And her, every time she got pregnant subsequently for a long time, she didn't have any kids. Bunch of miscarriages and stillbirths. Even when she finally got married to Jon Arryn. And so finally, years later, she gives birth to a son, who we know as Sweet Robin, Robert Arryn, or Robin Arryn in the show. And the thing about this is, until we are introduced to Harold Harding, we have absolutely no reason to think that Robert Arryn is not Jon Arryn's son. But then we get a description of what Harold Harding looks like, and we are told that Harold Harding looks like a young Jon Arryn. Because by the time we meet Jon Arryn, we don't even meet him. Like, the only thing we get about him is that he's dead and that he was old and his hair was already grayed. But the things that we do hear about Harold Harding is he was blonde hair with blue eyes. He's kind of muscular, very robust. And that is certainly not Sweet Robin. Sweet Robin is small, sickly. He has green eyes and brown hair. And who else has green eyes and brown hair? Yeah, right here. That guy. So yeah, it's pretty obvious at this point that Robert is Baelish's kid. Now, whether or not he knows this, he probably does, or at least suspects. Lysa might have been too wrapped up to even think about it, but I wouldn't doubt that she knew. Jon Arryn obviously had no idea. At least I don't think he had an idea until he looked at the Baratheon book, and looked at all those black-haired kids, and then thought to himself, wait, hold on. I don't have brown hair. I don't have brown hair. Nobody in my family has brown hair. The Tullys all have red hair and blue eyes. Wait, the seed should be strong. That goddamn bit. You know what? As soon as I finish my thing, go talk to Lysa, and that was the end of Jon Arryn. Oh man. But in the show, it's not even. They don't even talk about that. That's not even a thing that's even brought up at all. And it is what it is with that. Now the thing about it, again, as I've stated, he is a super schemer, and especially with the Vale, like there's the scene where after Lysa has been murdered by him, he sets up Marillion to take the fall, and how he got Marillion to take the fall, I have absolutely no idea, because they really didn't go into what it was that he promised Marillion, because he promised him something. He was like, yeah, you take the fall and I'll give. It was something he gave Marillion. Marillion wound up taking the fall, and he's dead now. So, when he's in the Vale, and the other Vale lords are like, look, we want you to hand over Sweet Robin, and we want you to, basically not be Lord Protector, and you're supposed to be Lord of Harrenhal, so we don't consider you a Vale Lord anymore. Get out of here, take your bastard daughter, who they don't know is Sansa Stark, and go to the Vale. Go to Harrenhal. Get out of here. And he's having a parlay with him, and Lynn Corbray breaks out the ancestral Corbray sword, Lady Forlorn, and it threatens to kill Petyr Baelish. And he's like, "I am outraged. You dare bear steel at a parlay, this, that, and the third. I can't believe this." And they're like, "Shit, no. That's no. We didn't mean for any of that to happen." It's like, you know what? I'm gonna need hostages from all you guys. Because I am Lord Protector of the Vale, and this right here is basically treason. So, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Like, look, I only want you to give me 1 year to show you how I can make the Vale prosper. All right, and after that, you guys can have your hostages back. You guys can even have the Vale after that. I don't even care. Just give me 1 year to make, so you can see the kind of magic that I can work. And they're like, all right, cool. We'll give you the hostages and all that stuff. Just please don't get us arrested or killed or thrown out the moon door. All right. And then we find out later on that was all a ploy, and that Lynn Corbray was under the services of Petyr Baelish. And while the rest of these guys are sitting up there like, oh man, we escaped that one, just barely with our lives, not even realizing, like, no, you've been played from the inside, by another Vale Lord who you thought was part of your coalition to get rid of Petyr Baelish. And, that is the kind of manipulation that he's doing that, nobody else is playing on that level. And it's going to be interesting to see what else he has planned, because, again, there's the whole thing with the Boltons, where he basically snatched up Jane Poole, had her turned into a prostitute, and then gave her over to the Lannisters, and the Lannisters gave her to the Boltons, posing as Aria Stark in order to secure their claim to Winterfell without the other Northern Lords making an issue of it. And okay, very cool. Can't complain about that. He super schemed. So we're gonna have to see now if there's some side dealings that he has with the Boltons. Maybe not. Excuse me. All right, so I want to shout out to the cat as well. Thank you for joining us. I know, late as always. But all right, so let's talk about now. Let's talk about his show counterpart. So, in the show, Petyr comes off almost as a mustache twirling villain to a certain extent. Yes, he is still kind of charming, but he's a lot more openly antagonistic than he should be for a man in his position. Like, for one, with the whole thing with Cersei, where he's making a veiled threat to reveal stuff about her and Jaime. It's like, Book Baelish ain't doing something like that because he wants the Lannisters to stay on his side. He wants Cersei to have no clue that she is being set up. So he's not going to give her the chance to do something to him. I mean, because he could have gotten killed right then and there. And what were they going to do? Like, Petyr Baelish doesn't have any bannermen, so it's not like, oh, we need to get revenge for our lord. He's a nobody. Him selling Sansa to the Boltons, and I remember telling people before season 5, I was like, oh no, Sansa is going to be taking Jane Poole's place. And there were a lot of people who didn't believe me. Like, no, they can't do that to Sam. I'm telling you, we haven't gotten any announcements about them either bringing back Jane Poole, because Jane Poole is in season 1, very briefly. Like, we haven't gotten any word about Jane Poole, and we haven't heard any casting news about a new Jane Poole. Sansa is taking Jane Poole's place. And so, for whatever reason, they have made it to where he is not the great schemer. You know, after like season 3, maybe even season 4, he pretty much has kind of went downhill. For one, when he pushes lies out the moon door, there's no alibi whatsoever. His fate hinges on Sansa deciding to actually help him out. Number 2, you know, him selling Sansa to the Boltons or trading her to the Boltons or whatever may have you, and having no knowledge of Ramsay when he, you know, other than Varys, he's supposed to be one of the guys with the most spies in the realm, and he knows nothing about Ramsay. So that, you know, obviously another huge mistake on his part. Excuse me. And you know, and then after that, when he finally is doing his other wheeling and dealing, you know, back and forth between Cersei, King's Land, yeah, well, not King's Landing, Cersei's in King's Landing, but you know, Cersei, the Vale, Olenna, shit, I was about to say Hightower. No, Olenna Tyrell, and the Boltons. It's like, all right, well, he's not in control of any of this stuff. You know, he's not in control. You know, pretty much the only thing he was in control of was Robin, and just like, hey, well, yeah, you should do this. And but if Robin decided, no, you know what, I don't want to do that, you know, he's done for. And so when we finally get to season 7, you know, his game became so much smaller. It was like, oh, how do I get Jon Snow out of the way so Sansa can become Queen of the North? You know, and Sansa obviously has absolutely no liking for him whatsoever, and she kind of, you know, she's openly hostile to him. And I'm like, what happened to the guy who was, you know, the guy who was on track to take over? He miscalculated with Stannis very, very badly. Miscalculated with the Boltons very badly. And now he's miscalculated with Sansa very, very badly. And shout out to my man Broke Black Man 94. Yeah, but he's the guy who's just totally miscalculating everything, and it wound up costing him his life. Now, you know, before the end of season 7, especially, there were a lot of people who had speculated that the Stark sisters were playing a game against Littlefinger, and that, you know, at the end of it, his treachery would be revealed, and it would be revealed that, aha, we've been playing you the entire time. And it actually turned out not even to be true. They had no idea about any of Littlefinger's treachery, so they were not playing a game against him. And if it wasn't for Bran being there and spilling all the secrets to Sansa at the last minute, who knows, it may have been Aria against all of the Stark guards, and maybe even some of the Vale knights as well. And Petyr Baelish goes out like an absolute punk, and while that seems kind of obvious for the show, I don't think Book Baelish would ever go out like that. I mean, for one, he didn't get a trial. It was just like, oh yeah, we accuse you all of this stuff, and he just kind of like, no, it wasn't me. Okay, it was me, but please don't kill me. I think Book Baelish would have been able to talk his way out of that a little bit better. And I'll be honest with you, I think that I think we're gonna find out that Book Baelish is possibly a skilled warrior. Because think about it like this. He is the guy who challenged a man for the hand of the woman that he wanted, and he lost. He kept his life, but he lost. Now, in the show, he has the line about, I'm not gonna fight them, I'm gonna fuck them because that's who I am, and only by knowing who we are can we get what we want. Sure indeed. But I think that guy probably has kept up with sword training or something like that, and probably is who he probably is, who he's like? Palpatine, Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars. Because if you think about it, right, from episodes 1, 2, and 3, he comes off as this very kind of smart, helpful guy that helps to, he becomes the emperor or whatever. But before that, when he's just a politician, everyone trusts him. No one is suspecting that he has anything to do with the fact that they're in this massive galactic war. And yes, he's a Sith Lord, but we hadn't seen him do anything. And so when Mace Windu and the other Jedis roll up on him, he pulls out the lightsaber, he cuts down 3 of them like nothing, and it's kind of like, I had no idea he could do any of that. And when he finally faces off against Yoda, Yoda has never fought against a Sith Lord ever. And so dude stands up, and next thing you know, he's hitting him with lightning. It's like, holy shit, what did, Now, mind you, yes, we know about him, especially if you've seen Return of the Jedi, and even if you had never seen the prequels and you only saw episodes 4, 5, and 6. Episode 4, he's mentioned. Episode 5, you see him as the hologram. Episode 6, he's sitting there the whole time, just like, listen, kill your father, come join the dark side, blah blah blah, and he's just sitting there extra calm. No, listen, I'm telling you, I gotta look, Luke. Might as well just join the dark side because you've lost everything else. And so finally, when Luke actually defeats Darth Vader, and he's like, "No, I'm not going to join the dark side," the Emperor stands up and starts hitting him with them lightning bolts. And if you had never read any of the outside novels or anything, you're sitting there like, yo, what the whoa, how did he do this? And I think that's what Petyr Baelish is like. I think, we're going to find out somebody's going to wind up trying to chop him down, thinking, oh, this is just, punk Petyr Baelish, and he's going to wind up slicing somebody down that's supposed to be somebody that's supposed to be nice, somebody that's supposed to be super skilled. He's going to just wind up pull that. Because, when somebody... Look, we've seen this plenty of times in different movies. You get, someone who's a dejected outcast or whatever, They build themselves back up in secret, and then next thing you know, it's boss battle, and you're fighting M Bison for the first time, and not realizing that Psycho Crusher is coming for you. So that's what it is with that one. Um, there was one last thing I was gonna say about him. Man, oh, there was and this may have been Order of the Green Hand or Preston Jacobs or somebody, but they speculated that he is the reason why Brandon rode to King's Landing, and that somehow he saw what happened with Lyanna and Rhaegar, and purposely fed misinformation to Brandon Stark. Now, while that could possibly have happened, the only knock I have against that explanation is the fact that he just lost the duel to Brandon Stark, and apparently Mad Queens have said that too. Okay. I hadn't seen that particular episode. My bad. But my only knock against that is, why would Brandon Stark trust someone that he almost just killed? And how would he meet up with Brandon? I mean, look, I don't know. Like that could be something that he did, but again, the only reason why for me it's a little difficult to believe that is because, like, I can't see Brandon Stark. I mean, even though yes, he was hot headed, the wild wolf. Like, yo, I almost just killed you. Why are you giving me information about Rhaegar kidnapping my sister? But it could be. We'll have to see, either through Brand's visions or somebody saying something, or whatever may have you. I doubt we'll get any of that in the show. I'll be honest with you. No matter what happened, I just don't think that it's going to be further addressed in the show, because there's just not enough time, especially with it only being 6 episodes for the next season. I know they said it was supposed to be like 90 minutes each, and possibly even longer than that, but nah. Alright, so folks, if you got questions, put them in the chat now. Let's take questions. I know I actually talked longer about the character than I normally do, but again, to me, Baelish is one of the most, if not the most, fascinating character in the story, because of the fact that he had so little and is gaining so much without actually having to field any armies, all through nothing but back channel scheming. Like, that's not a thing that normally happens. It's normally normally a thing that only happens because of fielding an army. So I'm gonna wait for you guys to put in your questions, whatever, while I puff on this thing that I shouldn't be. glad I finally was able to fix the white balance on my camera. You know, 'cause I'm coming out looking extra pale on all of my other videos. And does nobody have questions? I guess nobody has questions. Unless I'm just not transmitting or something, which that would be crazy. Shout out to Jayon Calrissian. I'm still, yeah, man. Okay, so from Alicia Kingston, how do I think Littlefinger will go out in the books? So I think that at some point, his treachery will be exposed to Sansa. You know, his treachery will be exposed to Sansa, and she will set him up to be tossed out the moon door by Robin Arryn. Sorry, Sweet Robin. So yeah, I think that's how he will go out in the books. It'll be one of those things where, I've only loved one man ever, only Ned, and then next thing you know, Sweet Robin comes in. Can I make the bad man fly now? Yes, make the bad man fly. It has the guards toss him out the moon door. Alright, so from Ion Throne, opinion on the tapestries. I mean, I know Tony Teflon's talked about the tapestries, and tapestries do tell a story, so obviously there's some kind of story behind the tapestries that there's some kind of story behind the tapestries that Petyr Baelish is looking for. There's something that he wants to be able to show people, to say, hey, look, if you look here and trace this, then this is the thing that you get. I'm not sure what it is though. Tony, that is, was basically saying it has something to do with her maybe being the mistress of Harrenhal, due to some kind of Riverlands connection or something. We'll see what happens with that one. So Bernie the Burnt wants to know, does my hat make me sweat? No. I got a fan on right now, so the hat is not making me sweat. It probably should, but nah, not sweating at all. Hopefully, it doesn't look like I'm sweating. I don't know, like this light is like super bright, so even like on the shirt and everything, it's making this logo damn near look like it's glowing when it's not. All right, so Jayon Calrissian asked, let's see, about Littlefinger and Hospitality. Littlefinger's father and Hospitality. What do you think their friendship was like? I mean, look, I think that their friendship was probably pretty good, until Petyr knocked up Hospitality's daughter. He probably like, wait, what the hell? Yo, man, you sent your son here. Your son, knocked up my daughter. Take your kid back. Don't ever show up in the Riverlands ever again. I'll have you and your son killed. probably pissed off, like most fathers. You know, they find out that their daughter out there getting pregnant. Especially, you got to think he's a high lord. You know, he wants to marry off his daughters to somebody who will help to solidify alliances and all that. And it's a lot harder to marry off the daughter who's already been knocked up. You know, which is why the only person he could get to marry Liza was Jon Arryn. From Jermaine Murray. I don't know why I was about to say Murphy. Jermaine Murray. Do you think Littlefinger is an Iron Bank plant? Wow. You know what? That's a very interesting question. Because look, not paying the Iron Bank, not paying the Iron Bank is a very costly proposition in more ways than one. And again, Petyr Baelish does have Braavosi heritage. So, I mean, it could be, but it seems like he's doing more scheming for himself than for the Iron Bank. I think that if it was him scheming on behalf of the Iron Bank, he would have mentioned something that would have at least alluded to him possibly being a plant for the Iron Bank. But you never know. I mean, we're always getting kind of new things unfolding with him, but it really seems like he wants the realm for himself. Let's see here. All right, from Sweet YFT, what's going on, man? Any chance the reason Lord Arryn was researching ancestry not to prove the king's son was a bastard, but his own? More reason for Littlefinger to get him killed at that point. I don't think that he was trying to prove necessarily that his son was a bastard, but I think the fact that he stumbled upon that information in the books probably got him to think about his own son. Because Jon Arryn had a couple of sons before, and you know what? I'll have to go back and read and see if they described what his sons look like. But I'm pretty sure if he was reading and looked along the lineages and saw like, oh, all of the Baratheons had black hair and blue eyes, no matter what, he may have looked back and been like, hey, well, let me look back into the Arryn line and see. But you also got to remember too, though, that the Arryns were originally first men who mixed in with the Andals. So you could always throw in the whole recessive trait thing where maybe there might have been an Arryn, from the first men times who had brown hair and green eyes. So, maybe not. We'll see what happens with that one. From Ricky Hunt, Hell Hydra. Do you think Baelish has any idea that Robin might be his son? Would he care if he found out he is slowly killing his son? He is slowly killing his son if true, and will we ever find out? I'll be honest with you. I'm not 100% sure, only because Petyr Baelish does want to perpetuate his rule. Now, here's the thing, right? He can't, even if that is his son, he can't tell him. He can't really tell anybody, because you find out that the Jon Arryn's supposed son is actually Petyr Baelish's. There are so many political implications behind that that make things very dangerous for him. So yeah, he might want to get rid of him just because it's like, look, I can't have any evidence that that I was sleeping with Liza while I was supposed to be, kind of a vassal of John Aaron. So if he does know, he might be, trying to kill him on purpose. If he doesn't know, he might still be trying to kill him just so he can be the ruler of the Vale. But very good question. All right, so for Marilyn Bentley, do you think Littlefinger or Varys knows the truth about Jon Snow's parents? Hmm. I don't know, and either way, I don't know if they would actually care. You know, um, yeah, I don't know if they would actually care, even if they did know. That would be pretty interesting, though. It's funny though. Harold Harding probably is going to die in a tourney. Harold Harding is probably going to die in a tourney. That's my feeling on that. All right, so from Ricky Hunt, how will Baelish react to Aegon? Is it possible he tries to have Sansa engaged to Aegon, thus fulfilling the 20 of Ashford foreshadowing? I could definitely see that happening. Daenerys has been such a wild card that no one is really betting on her coming to Westeros. Aegon is already here. Uh, I could see, Baelish, saying, "Hey, look, the Targaryens and the Starks were good up until your grandfather, did the bullshit. Let's unite the Starks and the Targaryens. You'll have the whole North behind you, etc., etc. Um, that's just more people to your cause." I could see him. I could see him trying to broker that. I could see him definitely trying to broker that. The whole 20 of Ashford thing too is pretty interesting, just because, uh, like, I'm not sure who was the first person to pick up on the kind of parallel to that, but yeah, that genius, absolute genius. All right, so from J.N. Karazian, with his connections in King's Landing, I think that the Royce family, Valyrian still sort of lost in the riots. Let's see here. In the Dance of the Dragons. I'm I'm not exactly, Jen. You might have to rephrase that because I'm not exactly sure what it is that you're trying to ask. Because Baelish wasn't around during the Dance of the Dragons, so I'm not exactly sure what it is you're trying to ask on that one. Sorry. Ask it again. I will answer, but it's a little confusing for me right now. Okay, so for Marilyn Bentley, we can ask Arian and Aegon, but I mean Dorn. Oh, sorry, nope. Sorry, it kind of moved while I was in the middle of reading the question. Uh, Oh yeah, you can ask questions about whatever, Marilyn. It doesn't have to just be about Littlefinger. Oh, so okay, Jan, you're asking if Littlefinger happens to have the Royce's sword that was lost during the Dance of the Dragons. Um, well, here's the thing: if he had Leroyce's sword, I'm pretty sure that's one of those things that he would have presented to Jan Royce already to kind of get him on his side. Say, hey, look, you know, you know how good I am at finding things. You know, I really love you guys here in the Vale. As a token of my good esteem towards you, especially House Royce, such a noble and lauded family through many years here. Look. Here's something I got for you. Bring this in. Look, this is your family's Valerian steel sword that was lost during the riots in King's Landing. I brought it. I found it, and I brought it back here for you. So I think if he would have had that, he would have presented it to Jan Royce. You know, to just to have another kind of grip on to have another grip on the Vale Lords. You know, because no better way to get someone on your side than with a gift, and especially if it's something that's a long lost family heir family heirloom that could never be replaced. Okay, for Marilyn Bentley, do you think we will find out what Varys heard in the flames? I think we will in the books. Do you think we will in the show? Any ideas what you think the voice said to him? I mean, well, the voice didn't necessarily talk to Varys, but it obviously said something about Varys. Um, I mean, look, I think we have to find out. You know, I mean, especially because you had Kinvara who brought that up, and why they haven't said it as of yet. I think it has to do something with, at least for the show. I think it has to do something with Varys dying, and that's probably why Melisandre told him, "I have to die in this strange country, as do you." Um, so for the books, though, it probably has something more to do with Varys's heritage and possibly him being, you know, a Targaryen bastard, you know, descended from the Blackfires or whatever may have you. So, yeah, I think if anything, that's probably what it has to do with. Now, how we will find that out in the books, that's the thing that I'm not exactly sure about. You know, I'm guessing Melisandre, whenever she comes back, will excuse me, she will finally reveal that to Varys. At least that's what I'm thinking. All right, so from Ricky Hunt, will the voices bring down Baelish? Jon or Jon is already suspicious of Littlefinger and knows what Sansa looked like having visited Winterfell recently. Um, well, that's the thing because didn't Jan Royce actually see her? Because look, Jan Royce saw her during the whole thing with the trial, and he's got, you know, like she's rolling around with Miranda Royce right now. Um, but I think the reason why, you know, he hasn't recognized her is because of the whole thing. It's like, oh well, Jan Royce considers himself to be kind of a high lord, and if you're going around with a bastard name, he's not really tripping off you because he's not looking at you as anything special. Now it could be a thing where maybe Jan Royce gets the information that brings down Petyr Baelish and somehow reveals that to Sansa. Maybe it's a thing where now imagine this. Jan Royce gets the information that Petyr Baelish betrayed Ned Stark. Talks about it openly in front of Sansa, not realizing who she is, and then Sansa does her scheming and gets Petyr Baelish killed. That would be interesting to me. Alright, let's see, another one for Ricky Hunt. Does Davos have King's blood? Melisandre ties talk Davos into creating Shadow Baby with her, and Storm of Swords mentioning she needs King's blood for that. I mean, it's possible. Like, if you read The Sons of the Dragon, there is a Davos Baratheon. Now, it doesn't state whether Davos Baratheon had any kids or not, and looking at the official family tree, it doesn't say. Davos didn't have a name before he was knighted by Stannis, so it is possible that he could be, a bastard of a king. Because I've asked this question before: where are the rest of the Targaryens, right? Because Aegon the Fourth had a bunch of bastards that he legitimized on his deathbed. We've only really heard about like 4 or 5 of his great bastards. The ones that I can think of offhand, you've got Daemon Blackfire, you've got Bittersteel, Bloodraven, Shiera Seastar. Those are the ones that I can name offhand without having to look at any books or anything. But he supposedly had like 27 or it was some crazy number. So I'm thinking that those people must have had descendants, and is very likely, or maybe not very likely, but it is possible that Davos might be a descendant of one of those Targaryen bastards. Maybe. Who knows? Trying to see if we got any other questions here right now. Look, I love sparking debates between people in the chat as well. It's what makes things fun. Makes it all very fun. Alright, so from Ricky Hunt here, will Baelish ever find out that he did not sleep with Cat? Probably not. He's believed that fiction. He's believed that fiction for like nearly 20 years now. And the thing about it is, the question remains how many people has he told this to? And why? Because Catelyn definitely knew that he had told a few people about this, and for whatever reason, she never actually refuted it. Like, she never made an official condemnation or anything, or wrote letters to people like, "Hey, nope, didn't happen, never happened. Petyr Baelish, stop throwing dirt on my name. I was a virgin until I met Ned." And yeah, Ricky just I have no idea why Catelyn does not correct anyone on that, because Tyrion definitely brought that up to her. And you got to figure, if it's been 20 something years or close to that, um, somebody else must have said something. You know, I doubt that it's been all this time and no one has ever said, "Oh, well, Petyr Baelish claims to have slept with Catelyn Tully." But who knows? Let's see here. All right, for Marilyn Bentley, where is Howland Reed? Um, let's see. WTF? Guess we don't need him to tell about John's parents since Bran knows it all. Well, see, here's the thing, right? So, huh? Um, I mean, look, yeah, we don't need him for the show. And after what happened in this past season, yeah, man, he might not show up at all. Like, that would be the craziest thing if we never see Howland Reed in the show, like in modern times, because it's like, oh well, we already saw him in flashback, and we don't need him to corroborate anything because we got Bran, and also we got Sam with the High Septon Maynard's diary, which, for those of you who only watched the show, High Septons are not supposed to have names. It's not like Pope, where the Pope, once he ascends to that position, he takes on whatever name. High Septons are just called the High Septon. Once they become the High Septon, they shed their name, and they are all described either by the time period that they were the High Septon for, or by like some defining physical feature. So yeah, that was kind of a mess up on their part there. Yeah, so now probably no Howland Reed. Where he is in the books, I have no idea. He needs to show up though, because it's kind of getting tedious. Hearing about a character that you never see. So hopefully he'll show up in the show soon enough. Let's see here. I know I saw another question. Oh, from yeah, another one here we got from Jermaine Murray. Why do you think Littlefinger wants Harrenhal? He had his choice of many castles. There is some secret to Harrenhal, and I think Tony Teflon touched on this. The secret to Harrenhal also has to do with the tapestries and is somehow tied to Sansa. And let's look at it like this. If he marries Sansa, and Sansa's lineage can be traced through Harrenhal or whatever, and then he winds up killing off Sansa, he could inherit the North, the Riverlands, and the Vale, by marrying Sansa. At least that's what I think that he was. I think that's the kind of thing that that Tony was trying to get at. All right, so from Ricky Hunt, how did Rhaegar believe he can marry someone else when polygamy has not been done in hundreds of years? Well, if he got his marriage annulled, which that would be the craziest thing, like he shouldn't have got his marriage annulled. Like that doesn't seem like it should be possible. But if that was true that he got his marriage annulled, then he could marry, he could remarry, but it's that's not something that normally happens, because it would disinherit his current kids. So, let's see, and another one for Ricky Hunt. Where are Ned's bones? Maybe Helen Reed has them. Maybe he's intercepted the bones. Because we know that Barbary Dustin is wondering about that. His bones obviously have not made it to Winterfell yet, because Barbary Dustin is looking around for the bones. So yeah, maybe the Kranich men have intercepted the bones. We know that the Silent Sisters were transporting them, but we haven't heard about them ever since like the initial transport. So his bones were on the way up north, but as far as Barbary Dustin knew, they hadn't made it past the neck yet. So we'll see. Barbary Dustin is crazy though. Oh man, Ion Tron says Barbary Dustin is a dog. She's obsessed with bones. Well, one bone she was definitely obsessed with was Brandon Starks. Yeah, I don't know why Barbary Dustin is so obsessed with Ned's bones. I doubt that she actually. I doubt that she actually hates Ned Stark, though. I think that whole thing. I think the whole thing with her kind of, saying all that stuff was basically to, like, she knows that Theon is the Bolton's creature, and it's like, yeah, they're in Winterfell, but I gotta say what I need to say so that she seems loyal to the Bolton cause, But I'm not 100% sure on that, so we'll see what happens. From Ricky Hunt, do you think Lady Dustin is allied with the Manderleys and Glovers, or is she working both sides? I don't know. I mean, like, it's funny because, yeah, she did seem pretty pissed off that the only thing that Ned brought back of her husband was that red stallion of his. So who knows? She might really be down with the Boltons like that. That'd be crazy. Yeah, she might really be down with the Boltons. Who knows? I don't know. It's hard to tell because we haven't seen, like, we have to see like what happens in that dining hall. Whatever goes down in that dining hall. I mean, yeah, we know that the Freys and the Manderleys right now are kind of going at it, but we have to see what Barbary Dustin does with her troops. So that'll be interesting. All right, from Alicia Kingston. If Lady Dustin doesn't want to settle the score with the Stark, why does she want Ned's bones? She might. I don't know. Maybe she might actually want to make sure that he gets a proper burial. Or she might be pissed off and be like, okay, look, my husband's bones never got to make it to his seat, so neither will Ned's. It's one of the two. At least for me, anyway. Alright, for Ricky Hunt, how will Jane Poole's story end? Suicide. I think after all that she's been through, unfortunately, she might wind up committing suicide. Yeah. Hopefully not. That would be kind of messed up, but I could see her possibly committing suicide just based off of the fact that, she was pretty much sold into slavery. Her father was killed. She's lost everything, and now she's back home as a sex slave. And just not to give the Boltons the satisfaction of further using her, she might wind up committing suicide, which that would be very sad. Okay, so this is an interesting question here from Ricky Hunt. Was Wyler the wet nurse who was with Ned when Catelyn arrived at Winterfell? I don't think so. I mean, nah, because whatchamacallit, Edric Dane talks about Wyler being his wet nurse, so I doubt that she came back to Winterfell and then was shipped back to Starfall later on. So I doubt it. I doubt it. I could really go for a double quarter pounder with cheese now that you mention it, Ricky. I'm still wondering, when the hell are we gonna get this damn Winds of Winter? Seriously. Okay, so let's see here. Ion Tron is saying April 12th, 2022 we'll get the Winds of Winter. So mark the day down on your calendars, folks. April 12th, 2022. Ion Tron is calling it. I will be a middle-aged man by then, unfortunately. Alright, so next question from Ricky Hunt. Ricky Hunt's got all the questions. But it's all good, though. Alright, so he asks, could it be that Ilaria Dane is actually the daughter of Ashara Dane. Who the hell is Ilaria Dane again? I'll be honest with you, I don't remember who the hell Ilaria Dane is. See, now I'm gonna have to go dig into the wiki because I don't remember who the hell Ilaria Dane is. Dorn. Of Dane of Starfall. I mean, it has it listed here as her sister, actually. But let's look into Ilaria Dane. Let's see here. Oh, she was the one who was betrothed to Beric Dondarrion. I don't know. I don't know, man. Because I mean, like, we don't. I think she was in her teens. So I mean, it's possible. You know. Yeah, but according to the wiki, she is Ned Dane's aunt. Yeah, hard to say. There's a lot that we don't know about the Dane family. Period. I mean, because we don't even know what their hair color was. Like you know, because of the fact that they are in Dorne. Now, remember, the Danes are also first men, but they got purple eyes. The only thing that we know definitely about the Danes is that they have purple eyes. Um, and the only person that we get a hair color from, a definitive hair color from, I believe, is Darkstar. And hold on, let's look. Do we have a? Let's see here. Oh, and Edric Dane. So Edric Dane definitely has more Targaryen looking features. He's got pale blonde hair. Not silver gold. It's more Lannister color blonde. So Alejandra 7775555 asks, do you think the last book will be out by 2025? If the old gods, the new gods, the god of death, and all that are good, it will be. Again, I will be a middle-aged man by then. And George will be like in his 80s, I believe. And yes, Ricky is the question king. Okay, so for Marilyn Bentley, does anyone think Aria will die next season? I'm curious about Jon's reaction to how much she has changed when he sees her. No, I don't think Arya will die. I think the Ghost of High Heart has talked about how Arya will basically go on to be. I mean, she's kind of prophesied that Arya will go on to be a faceless assassin for a very long time. Um, so I can see that. I can see that happening. I mean, who knows? Maybe she might die, but I doubt it. I doubt it. I think she's just gonna go on to be a faceless assassin. Okay. Let's see here. Another one from Marilyn Bentley. Do you think Stannis will make it to Winterfell in the books? Things aren't looking good for him on that frozen lake with no fish, preparing to sacrifice Theon. I think Stannis will make it to Winterfell. I think he will actually take over Winterfell, and I think he will wind up going. Either he will go back to the Wall after he takes Winterfell, or he will get word while he's at Winterfell about the death of Shireen. Because, everyone pretty much knows that George said that Shireen will burn. My man James Michelle thinks that Stannis will be the one to burn her. Personally, I think that after the death of Jon Snow, but also because of the letter received at the Wall about Stannis dying, that Melisandre is going to convince Selyse to let her burn Shireen in order to bring back Stannis, because she's like, resurrect Azor Ahai. And I think the first chapter that we get of Azor Ahai is going to be written in a way that, you don't know whether or not it's Stannis or Jon. And then it'll be revealed that it's Jon. And then Stannis later on will get the message about how Shireen got killed. And it'll be one of those things where, Stannis will be like, well, damn, what the fuck have I done? So, I personally don't think that Stannis will burn Shireen. I think it will be Melisandre thinking that she's going to bring back Azor Ahai. Gotta love autofocus. But yeah, Jermaine, if Stannis burned his own daughter, I think his army would abandon him. Unless they really happen to really believe in Rhaegar that much. Yeah. But remember, it's one of those things where in the books, the only person who's really who's really about the whole burning is Melisandre. But it's the wildlings who really have a problem with Shireen because of the whole grayscale thing. Wow. Okay, so this one for Ricky Hunt. Shout out to FL Dobby. What's going on, man? I haven't seen you in a while. All right. So for Ricky Hunt, do you think the house with the red door could be an allusion to the Shire and Lord of the Rings? They are both happy memories people think back to, and once found again are destroyed. Hmm. Could very well be. Could very well be. As mentioned by Ricky Hunt here in the chat, says the hobbits return to find the Shire destroyed, and it's not as they remembered. Could it be Dany finds the house with the red door to be the same? Yeah, it could very well be. George is all about his tragic sadness, and that would be tragically sad. So, yeah. Alright, so for way off topic radio, does Peter's transporter empire crumble, or does the Vale and Sweet Robin own the family business? Now I think, well, if you're talking about the show, especially with only 6 episodes left, I think Sweet Robin is going to get super rich off the transporter business until he dies. Which I think that in the show they will kill him. I actually don't think he's going to die in the books. I think that would be a little bit too obvious. I mean, like, oh, Howard Harding wants to kill me, this, that, and third. No, so I don't think he's going to die in the books. I think he's going to still be alive. But I think that in the show they're definitely going to kill him off. Alright, so for Marilyn Bentley, so since we are talking about Stannis, do you think he will ultimately die? If so, does Mel flock to Jon if he comes back in human form, assuming he doesn't warg and stay in Ghost? Yes and yes. I think, unfortunately, Stannis will die in battle. I think he might become king for a little while, but I think ultimately he's going to wind up dying. And I think Melisandre leaves him before he dies. I think he's going to wind up becoming king of Westeros, but because Jon comes back, I think he's going to wind up that Melisandre is going to ultimately abandon him after she has like a crisis of faith. I think she's going to wind up abandoning Stannis, and then finally settling in and saying, you know what, Jon is the true king, or the true Azor Ahai, or whatever may have you. So from Sonny Frank, is Sweet Robin really Littlefinger's son? I would say so, because if you think about it, it makes sense in the fact that he has the features. Now, the only way I could see him possibly being Jon Arryn's son is if somehow we find out that before the Andals came, that there were a bunch of Arryns with brown hair and green eyes. Other than that, Petyr Baelish's son, 100%. Wait, what the hell? Did I miss something? Listen, F up Dobby. That better be easy, bro. Was that the actual? Oh well. All right. Let's see here. All right. So, from Ricky Hunt, if Jon is brought back by Mel, saying Azor Ahai, how will Stannis react to this? What Let's see. What does the Queen's men do? They only follow Stannis because of Mel. I mean, yeah, I think that Mel gets tossed out because of the fact that you burned the princess Shireen. You burned Princess Shireen to bring back a guy who the guy who wasn't dead to begin with, and come to find out that he's not the true savior or whatever. So yeah, I think that not only would she have a crisis of faith, but I think that not only would she have a crisis of faith, but she would actually wind up whatchamacallit, wind up getting tossed out. Sorry, I kind of broke the conversation for a sec there. Sorry about that. Shout out to Alicia Kingston, with the band hammer. Listen, don't come in talking crazy. These mods will get you. These mods will definitely get you. Don't come in talking crazy. It's not a good look. Shout out to Smoke Chair. Alright, cool. Yeah, I was on Roris's channel a few days ago. Had a debate. Arthur Dayne versus Daemon Blackfyre. And unfortunately I lost that one to Kevin from the Bat Productions. And what was the crazy thing about that one? Is like, alright, so I brought in this book right here, right? The World of Ice and Fire. You see, big on the front there, written by George R. R. Martin, Elio Garcia, and Linda Antonsen. And I went in deep about all of the traits about Daemon Blackfyre, and unfortunately, people, for whatever reason, even with me quoting stuff out of the book, they were like, man, how, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, they decided that Arthur Dayne, I don't know, man, it might have been the thing where people were just so enamored with Arthur Dayne that they didn't want to hear anything else. But yeah, I wound up losing to Arthur Dayne on that one, and I'm whatever, man. It is what it is, Said to be the warrior reborn with Blackfyre in his hand, yet somehow he gets beaten by Arthur Dayne. And what's the funny thing? Because there were 3 rounds, right? So it was who would win in hand-to-hand combat. Kevin actually gave me that one. He said, yes, definitely dude would lose. He said Arthur Dayne would lose in hand-to-hand combat. to you know, yeah, he said that Arthur Dayne would lose to Daemon in hand-to-hand combat. Then it was sword versus sword. Now, even though Kevin said Arthur Dayne would lose in hand-to-hand combat, people still voted for Arthur Dayne to win. Alright, so then came sword versus sword. You got Blackfire versus Dawn, right? So, you know, he was like, all right, cool. He went for his guy, obviously. I went for mine, obviously. I got outvoted like 67 to 33% or whatever the percentages were, or whatever may have you. And then when it came to who would be the better military commander commanding armies, I'm like, well, obviously it's got to be Daemon Blackfire. Daemon Blackfire got almost half of the realm. He got nearly half of the lords of Westeros to back him during the Blackfire rebellions. And yet somehow 40% of the people still said Arthur Dayne was a better military commander. I'm like, Arthur Dayne didn't even fight in Robert's Rebellion that we know of. And Kevin tried to bring in conjecture to that one and say, oh, well, obviously he fought it. And I'm like, oh, no. We can't say obviously, because if it was obvious, someone would have mentioned the deeds he did on the battlefield. We don't hear anything that he did on the battlefield at all. I'm like, the only thing we hear about him as far as battlefield anything is Ned saying, we looked for you on the battlefield and couldn't find you. So, I mean, look, we might find out something later, but there is not one mention of Arthur Dayne fighting in any battle during Robert's Rebellion. So, I'm like, how people still voted. I think at that point they were just like, you know what, we don't like this guy, so we're just gonna vote against him. So it is what it is. Oh man, oh man. It's all good though, you know. Still team Blackfire. You know what the mess up thing is? I don't think we're ever gonna get um any of that stuff in the show whatsoever as far as Blackfire. And I mean, it's crazy because there is a mention in like one of those history and wars about the Blackfire rebellions. It's in the one where they talk about bastards. It's I think it's either season. It's somewhere between season 3 and season 5. I don't remember exactly which one, but I know it's one of history and lore. All right, question here from Marilyn Bentley. Said, this is silly, but I personally love Brienne and Tormund. Do you think Brienne will survive season 8? And if so, will she find love in the end? Maybe Jaime dies in the arms since he's going north. You know what? I honestly don't know. I mean, look, Brienne, no one has tried to pursue her in the show whatsoever. You know, the only person who has shown any kind of interest in her is yeah, the only person who showed any interest in her whatsoever has been Tormund. You know, everyone else has talked about how ugly she is, and Gwendolyn Christie actually isn't, you know, really an ugly woman. I mean, they make her look super homely in the show, or at least as much as they can, because you know that's kind of the point. Um, Now in the books, she is described as being like, you know, her teeth are oversized, her lips are way bigger, or like her nose is kind of pushed in, her eyes are super huge. Like she is described as being, you know, very unattractive. But Gwendolyn Christie herself actually is a pretty attractive woman. Like if you've ever seen her like any on any red carpets or anything, she is actually an attractive woman. She's just super damn tall though. Like putting on heels, she got to be close to 7 feet. You know. Okay. Let's see here. The way off topic radio is like, do your best imitation of Mayor Carcetti. Man, I don't remember Mayor Carcetti. It was fun, like, you know, watching Aiden Gillian or Gillen. Keep on forgetting how to pronounce his last name correct. Seeing him on The Wire, and then seeing him later, because I had only seen him in like American roles up until Game of Thrones, so I had absolutely no idea that he was Irish at all. But let's see here, Mayor Carcetti. Because didn't he become? I think he became governor. Um, yeah, I think he became governor. Since like at the very end. Let's see here, Mayor Carcetti. Man, you know, honestly speaking, damn, I don't really remember what he sounded like too much. And I'm horrible at doing like a lot of different voices. Like other than my phony mafia voice and my absolutely horrible British accent, I'm not like really that great at doing impressions. Sorry about that one, man. All right. Speaking. All right. So, question here from Ricky Hunt: what are the odds of Hyle Hunt surviving Lady Stoneheart? Um. Yeah. I think the odds are about 2%. I think we're gonna get Brienne's chapter, find out that Hyle Hunt is dead, and that Podrick is badly injured, and is kind of being held hostage by the Brotherhood Without Banners. Oh, all right. So we got another one from here. Is like, who is your favorite character from The Wire? No Omar allowed. Wow. Okay. One of my favorite characters was Stringer Bell. And you know, it's funny because Stringer Bell kind of reminds me a little bit of Petyr Baelish. You know, he was a schemer, but you know, it's the one thing that kind of always got me about that character. So he got Avon's nephew killed, and Avon just kind of did not seem to react to that, which I was like, I'm surprised that Avon didn't either kill Stringer or or if not kill him, at least I don't know, threaten him, something like that. I'm not sure. I don't know. And I see Anne is trying to resurrect Clash of Queens. I mean, see what happens with that one. You know, that would be great to see. I honestly did not really like Marlo Stanfield. At least at first. I don't know. Marlo, like when Marlo first gets introduced, this is all about, like basically killing off everybody, and trying to take over everything in the city. Which, I guess if you want to be king of the drug game, that's what you got to do. But he just came a little bit too damn brutal. But I love when I actually liked Marlo in season 5 though, when who was it that he was in jail. Excuse me. Man, sorry. Forgive me, still trying to get over this damn cold. Yeah, when he was who was it? Somebody was talk bad about him. I forgot who it was, and he was just like, "What? What did he say? Like what? He said what about me? Nah, he said my name." Chris is like, "Well, nah, man. You got." He's like, "Nah, man, nah. My name is my name." Yeah, that was. Yeah, he was definitely. Yeah, he was tripping off that one, man. Oh man. Chris and Snoop were the team from The Wire. Shout out to G Math. Yeah, unfortunately. Better late than never. I'm probably gonna wrap this up in like another like 10 minutes because I actually do have some business I need to attend to. Business must be taken care of at all times. And it's kind of messed up how Marlo was the one who actually who made it out. I mean, I love that kind of everything came full circle. You know, it was a little kind of crazy. Mike becomes the new Omar. You had that other kid who kind of becomes a new version of Bubs, which I felt real bad for him because I'm like, damn, man. Like when I was watching it, because I'll admit I didn't watch The Wire while it was on. I watched it after it had already went off or whatever. But I remember watching that one kid, and I forgot what his name was, that was hanging around, uh, Mike and all the rest of them, and it was like he was already in a bad situation. Thought it might get a little better for him, and then it was like, oh man, nope. He wound up becoming a new version of Bubs. So, but at least Bubs actually got cleaned up. Bubs got cleaned up, which was good. So there's hope after all. Oh, when they killed Bodhi, I hated when they killed Bodhi. I so hated when they killed Bodhi. But I love the way that they were able to kind of flip each season and make it unique. It was a great cat and mouse game. Oh, it was another death I hated. Prop Joe, when Marlo killed Prop Joe, man. Oh, I hated when Marlo killed Prop Joe. Prop Joe was my guy. He was slimy or whatever, but look, all he wanted to do was just make some money. All right, so for Marilyn Bentley, Qyburn, what do you think is his end game? Is he truly loyal to Cersei or a phony? Talking show, of course. I think. Excuse me. Yeah, I think that Qyburn's endgame is to die a very, very horrible death. And I think he is loyal to Cersei, but he is more loyal to his experiments. And I think that now the whole thing with him is really that I'm trying to think about what's the best way to say it. Like, he's loyal to Cersei because Cersei allows him to do whatever it is that he wants. So I think he is definitely loyal to her. I don't think it's a phony thing. She allows him to tap into his darkest impulses. Yeah, she allows him to tap into his darkest impulses. So I think that he definitely is loyal to Cersei for real. I don't think it's a ploy. Okay, so for Ricky Hunt, most disappointing moment, season 7. I don't know. You know what? Jamie coming out of the lake. Especially because at first I thought it was a stream. Then when I found out it was a lake, I was like, in full armor and all that. That was kind of ridiculous. Um, Danny saving the day. And really, that whole kind of sequence of events in episode 6. Episode 6 to me totally was a disappointment. It's not even just one thing, but episode 6 altogether. You know, the death of Petyr Baelish, and not actually the death, but the sequence of events that led to his death. Sansa and Aria fighting. Definitely a disappointing moment, like where Sansa pulls out the faces from the bag, and Arya is up there talking about how she could skin Sansa and wear her face and all that. Disappointing, very disappointing. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, but some guys, I got some stuff that I do need to attend to, some very important financial matters, that I do need to attend to. So I am going to have to call it for today, but I do thank all of you very much, everyone who came out to check me out live. Thank you to all those who will check me out in the future. You know, this is always great to have you guys here. So I wasn't able to do it on Thursday, but you know, they do the makeup show. But I will be back next Thursday, hopefully, 8 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, I'm not even sure what character I'm doing yet. But you know, if you got suggestions, make sure to leave them in the comments after the video's been uploaded. Hit me on Twitter. You know, you see the name down there. All that stuff. And as always, rate, comment, share, subscribe. Yeah. Tell your friends, come back from work. I keep on forgetting what the hell the end of this damn sign off is supposed to be now. It's weird. Anyway, look, you already know the deal. I'll see you guys next week. And this is Don Willie saying, Vale Dohiris, thank you for coming out and checking me out, alright? Have a good weekend.